Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. The next photo, shall we? Mm-hmm. Which is a photograph of a woman wearing a paper crown on her short hair. Dare I say this woman is you?
It is me, yes.
With contacts, or you're just not wearing your glasses?
I'm just not wearing my glasses.
Okay, so you're looking to the left, so you're in profile. It's a photograph. That's okay. Thank you.
No, I just think you'll get the image better if I turn the paper so it's directly on you.
Okay, you're wearing a nice blue. Well, so the image itself is printed rather warm. So the colors are quite. The background is like a wall that could be white, but because of the image tone, it looks very warm. Your skin looks very warm. Your expression is almost not recognizable because you're a smiley person, and in the photograph, it's just very neutral. So, does it
remind you of anything as a Canadian?
That was the Queen for sure in some ways on the dime.
Does this?
Is it a dime?
Yep.
Oh wow. Okay. Yep. Okay.
Or on our coins.
Yeah, one of our coins, sure.
From various parts of history.
And the fact that you have a Bluetooth headset.
Well, you got to be listening to podcasts.
Okay, got it. So walk us through this photograph. What is and it's called The Social Construct.
Yeah, I've titled this for this talk. It's called The Social Construct, and this is the King George V diamond diadem that the Queen wears in all of her official portraits, and she uses for opening Parliament. Oh, and I've taken that and I've copied it in paper.
Ah, okay.
And I've cut it out. So I do a lot of paper cutting these days.
Yeah.
And I cut it out, and I made a priceless object out of, nothing material.
Sure. Okay, yeah.
And so I've been working with this idea of making priceless objects and recreating them out of something that is not, because part of the social construct is that this diamond diadem and this queen who's, one of the last main heads of state that is recognizable around the world. Talk about symbolism and everything.
Sure.
And I don't have a strong...
By birth and no merit. But
I'm not entirely
Not that I'm
sure.
saying she's incompetent, but it's not like she was born and she earned anything. Like she was born into the queenhood.
Born into the queenhood, but also has spent a lifetime in service. That is something that I don't think we'll see again.
Yeah, okay.
So there's a bit of, you have to admire the hard work that goes into, what she does, but also, being born. Anyways, that's another topic entirely. But I don't have strong feelings either way about the Queen of England, but she's the queen of the country that I originally come from, and Hong Kong has a history with the British monarchy and this sort of stuff. So, plus, who doesn't love a fucking crown? I mean, I want to wear tiaras all the time.
Right.
My everyday tiara is, I've got tiaras all over the place.
You do? Okay.
And I've made a bunch of different crowns and things like that. I make them out of found objects, and they're super fun.
Yeah.
Just wearing tiaras is awesome.
For sure.
Right. There's even an International Tiara Day.
Really?
There is. I can't remember what day it is exactly. I think it might actually be May 25th or 24th, somewhere around Queen Victoria's birthday.
Right.
As an English Canadian, I know that one because we have the day off.
But I'm a Canadian from Montreal, so we say, who's
so you say,
whatever.
2 fingers up.
Yeah, that's right. But
so I'm wearing this crown because in my travels and in my life, I've learned that social construct and that we have all these ideas of how we tell ourselves in our heads stories of how the world is.
Yes.
And a lot of those times, those stories are bullshit.
Yeah.
And so, I'm wearing this crown. I'm posing deliberately to look like the queen on the stamp or the coin or whatever. This is the classic pose.
Sure.
I've chosen this crown for that reason. And I'm just reminding myself that, if you decided one day, not in a crazy way, I'm Napoleon now, but if you decided one day that, I think I'm just the same level, just the same importance, then you are, because there's nobody else in the world who can tell you your worth other than yourself.
Right.
We spend our times gathering other people's applauding or accolades or things like that. But if you yourself don't feel like you're worth it, then you're not.
Yeah. So,
and the social construct is constructed to keep us all working in a way that benefits quite a small number of people.
Sure. Definitely a concentration. Yeah.
And again, it's the bias of safety.
Okay.
It's the bias of safety again. The social construct keeps us within an environment. And I think that we have the ability as human beings, I trust people, to make some pretty damn good decisions if they're allowed to take off some of that social construct. To shed some of the burden that we have around identity and sexuality and class and whatever else race and whatever else you've got there. Just fucking, it's all bullshit. It's all
construct.
It's a construct.
It's all, of course.
It's constructed and not necessarily by you, but you participating in it are part of, you're like a brick in the wall. You're holding up a little piece. And that doesn't mean that you have to walk away from it and it needs to be anarchy. But recognizing which parts of the construct you're allowing in and not allowing in is hugely freeing.
Well, okay, so to use a diving board and jump off of there, just in terms of what you've said and stuff, to kind of connect it. So in a sense, like with your art media, the materials you like to work with, by limiting them and knowing them very well, you know how far you can go and also when and how to kind of break outside of that. So almost in a sense, like the better you understand the wall and your place as a brick within it and all this stuff, or within the social construct, the better you understand those forces and dynamics, the better you can design and fuck around with them. Like basically manipulate them or...
Oh, absolutely. How could you build something unique and beautiful and everlasting if you don't understand the pieces and where your place is in it? But how can you build something different and unique to you if you also don't recognize that you are a different and unique person in yourself?
So one of what's interesting to me is the choice of the artwork I see. You're laughing. Well, first of all, your
just a little bit of everything.
I love it. There's so much. There's like eye candy all over the place, and you use it a bit. Use the space a bit like as a kind of as a gallery, because some of the work is displayed as a group, and some of the work is kind of more sort of fractured, like a dolphin here, a beaver there. But listening to like transcending time in terms of the work that you're making, yet the material you're using is like watercolor isn't that permanent. Or like, for example, working with fabric. Fabric and fashion turn over very quickly, right?
Exactly. That's why you should make your own clothes.
Okay.
That's why when you find a dress pattern that you really like, you should just reproduce it.
Okay. Okay. But the way fashion seems to evolve over time, what?
Fashion doesn't really change that much. The colors, the patterns change. This dress that I'm wearing today is a basic shift dress.
Right.
It literally hasn't changed in hundreds of years.
Okay.
So you put sleeves on and you lengthen or lower the hemline. You add darts into it. But it's the same thing.
Right.
It's just cloth that covers your body.
Sure.
So, make it yours.
Listening to one of your podcast episodes, it was the most recent one. It's like the sex episode in a way. Like this Indian fellow describing the first time he masturbated, which was actually very humorous. Followed by a woman from Singapore.
He's Pakistani.
Oh, he's Pakistani.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the woman from Singapore ended up living in Finland. Yeah, and then basically from a very conservative space, going into these like massive saunas where everybody's naked. Yeah, dress, clothing. It's just...
Isn't it? It's just amazing how much...
Speaking of constructs.
Yeah.
From religion to clothing. Yes, absolutely. Total...
how much do we make judgments about people about how they're dressed.
Mm-hmm,
You dress for the job that you want.
Right.
Her skirt's really short. Oh,
Right.
she's revealing too much.
Sure.
They can't play at Wimbledon because they don't have all white clothing.
Right.
Like, I mean,
it's in many ways it's absurd. Like if you look at the social constructs, we're fundamentally primates. And we have such complicated, and this actually works into the work I do in service leadership, service network leadership, is this idea that we have all these rules that we can design and ignore and change and whatever, but ultimately, if we step back and say, wait a second, like which fits very well with the sauna, right? A bunch of people just naked together in a room, and just like after a while, you're just like, okay, it's nudity, but
well, we have. In the studio, we have a life drawing class every Tuesday night.
Okay.
So we hire a live model to come and pose for us. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of my friends who are not artists, and they find that really weird. And you get all these comments about, oh, my boobs would be hanging really low, or, what if somebody bent over?
Yeah, I can see my asshole. Yeah.
Yeah. And as an artist, like, we're the people. You can tell the artist in a crowd at a sports stadium if there's a streaker, because we're the ones looking for a pencil.
Right.
We're the one going, oh, damn, I put my pencil here somewhere.
Yeah.
Not so fast. Could you slow down a little? Could you just stand there? But we have a different relationship with the human body. Mm. And it's strange even how complicated that is in itself, and how we've had a lot of conversation in the last couple of years, the last year or so, about should our model wear a mask? So all of our sketchers, all of our artists wear a mask. But you put a mask on the model and it changes what's happening in the room. You put clothes on the model. Partially clothed model is very different than a nude model.
That's interesting. Because actually that's where your eye ends up kind of fixating on.
And it somehow has some kind of sexual connotation that comes along with it.
Right.
That is unintended, but inevitable.
Right.
As soon as you clothe or put something onto the human being, now there's a narrative that's not about the body itself.
That's interesting.
It's now about the clothing or about what that means.
Right.
You get a naked person and you give them a sword. It changes what you're saying.
Well, of course.
Even just holding on to a pencil or a stick or whatever.
Sure.
It changes what happens. You put a hat on somebody and they pose nude, and it's different than if they are posing. There's a really great picture here created by a local artist where she's taken a picture of a couple naked in TST along the promenade, but they're wearing their masks.
But they were actually naked?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're wearing their masks.
Sure.
So it's, they're masked up, they're safe.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
They're following the rules.
Right. And to be fair, I think in Asia, nudity has several shame elements that are missing.
Oh, it's just different kind of nudity, and it's only recent. I mean, people have had a complex relationship with the human body.
Sure.
Since we had consciousness, so and different kinds of nudity were different things. You think about I don't know if you've ever seen the Chinese kids who have the split pants. So they have a split in their pants so that when they need to go to the bathroom as little infants, very small,
young kids,
then they can just squat over and go to the bathroom, you don't need to change diapers and do it, which is much more environmentally friendly, but not necessarily environmentally happy
sure.
for the people living there. But it's a different idea, and that's normal. But if we were to let small kids run around Hong Kong with no pants on, that would be a different thing entirely. The relationship that we have with nudity is very strange.
Yeah.
I had an experience that really brought this to my forefront of thinking. About 10, 15 years ago, I was living in Tin Hau, and my husband and I always cut down the alleys because, streets are often really busy, and we're both fast walkers, and rather than getting annoyed at people, they're super cool, right? Yeah. So we're walking down this alley, and it was a T alley, so it was one direction, and then it had a T junction, and it's New Year's Eve. And we're coming home. It's quite late, so it's probably New Year's Day by now. And we're coming home, and as we get to this T-junction, this man emerges who's naked. He's wearing his shoes.
Okay.
He's naked.
He's wearing his shoes, though.
He's wearing his shoes, because Hong Kong,
it's
stay
dirty.
clean.
Stay clean, And a mask, probably. Okay.
Well, no, because it's long before masks were a thing. But he had Y-front underpants in his hand. And when he spotted us coming down the alleyway, he took his underpants and he held them over his face. And I thought, my reaction would have been to hold it over top of my private area.
Exactly.
Please don't look at my vagina.
But here, just don't associate my face with that. Yeah, that's funny.
But this man was so much smarter because I'm not going to really be able to pick out a penis in an identity parade, but I could probably pick out his face.
That's right.
So cover the part that's going to identify you.
Right.
Obviously. That's
really funny.
I have been thinking the wrong way my whole life.
That's true.
My instincts are incorrect. And that's just so fascinating, especially now that we're wearing masks.
Sure. Which is like that. I find that so really hilarious. I mean, there's some ironies and whatever in that a law comes out. You're no longer allowed to wear masks in any kind of group gathering. It's a law in Hong Kong, no wearing a mask. And then 1 or 2 weeks later, okay, everybody has to wear masks because that's the safe thing to do. And it was just like...
Not only do we have to, but we're not allowed to take them off until the government tells us that we're allowed to.
Exactly. So it's like it's this funny little like... It's if you've read Catch-22 and you understand how silly the world can be, that's a funny little thing.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Okay, so I absolutely... This for me is such a pleasure to be in your space and talk shop.
It's wonderful to have you here.
Thanks. What can we say, or what can you say to kind of inspire, incite, pull forth a person who's kind of like, should I, shouldn't I haven't, like why, as somebody who's an artistic person and you've given yourself the permission to explore each time you have this idea, creative idea. Some people don't have that because they haven't trained that. Right? They have this thing, maybe that would be kind of cool, but they wouldn't necessarily think, okay, I'm going to realize it. Whereas as a creative person, you're like, I think maybe I'm going to make a different Matchbox diorama for a year, which is a massive project, right? So how do you help somebody, and I guess you've done this with the Hong Kong stories, how do you help somebody overcome that hurdle?
I try and do it with classes here too as much as I can, or just getting people in to have conversations about things. Honestly, you tell people, don't ever make something for somebody else.
Right, okay.
Make something because it helps you and it's something for you.
And yet, you're making it for the audience. What you said before.
Yeah,
you tell a story.
When you're telling a story, but a story is something that needs to be shared. You're still doing it for you.
Sure.
You want to connect with the audience.
Right.
But the vehicle has to have the audience as the primary thing.
That's who you're talking to.
That's who you're talking to.
Yeah.
But sometimes the audience is only you.
Okay.
So if you're really hesitant, because most people are hesitant because they feel like they don't have anything to say, or they don't have anything valuable to give, or somebody told them they were bad at art, or nobody values art in their life. But it's just this hugely creating anything is powerful. Creating anything at all is a huge weight off your mind, off your body.
Sure.
It allows you to say something even if it's never seen by anybody. It allows you to say something and go, I like that.
Beautifully said. One of the things that is really funny about podcasting, which you've experienced, translating what you record in the room and then into a podcast, the audience comes out, which is nice. But what I want to share and sort of comment on, and we can end on this or not, but it's just that as you're saying these words, your face is just so alive and so radiant, and you actually believe what you're saying. Like there's a complete, perfect alignment of what you're saying. Like I believe you.
I do believe what I'm saying. I don't have enough time on this earth to do stuff that I don't believe in.
So get some roller skates.
Fall
on your ass.
Yeah. It was a spectacular bruise.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
Do shit. Enjoy.
Do shit and enjoy. Thank you. So is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.